Hello YouTube, this is Amethyst from Amethyst Creations here to show you a new little thing that I have created for my junk journaling. And this is actually my first video, so welcome. I hope you enjoy this. I will actually probably create this into being a full series of videos for just journaling with junk mail, because I'm pretty sure a lot of us have it, and I tend to get a lot of credit card offers, like all sorts of different kinds, and they always come with these little like cardboard pieces, like, here's your pseudo credit card for you to imagine having. And I was like, okay, well, it's a perfect little size to create for ephemera for my junk journals. And here are a couple of examples that I've already created. This one's more like a bookmark. I put a little ribbon on it, and this is just the back. I left it a little bit more plain in the back, so if I want to add a little bit more I can. And then this one is like a moth to the flame is what I wrote on here, and there's a little moth laser cut piece that I added to the back. And here's another one I had, and life is like a journey, travel. So these are a lot of butterfly themes I got going on. You don't have to use butterfly themed things. I just like using butterflies right now because I actually have a specific junk journal that I'm creating that has a bunch of butterflies in it. So there I go with those. I'm gonna put those to the side. Oh, and I do apologize about my nails. I keep on breaking them, so I just haven't gone around to fixing them lately because I've been really busy. So my nails have been kind of crazy looking. So just ignore them. That's my disclaimer. So here I have a plain credit card. And we're gonna go ahead and cover it up with some butterfly themed paper. So I got this paper and all the papers that are butterfly themed, like this one, from this pack called Deco paper. I got it off of Etsy. I'll go ahead and link it in the description below, so if you're interested you can go ahead and buy those. I'm not affiliated or anything. I just gonna link things that I can find. That way it'd be easier for you if you do want to replicate it. But here we go. So what I'm gonna do is I kind of experimented with both glue and just double-sided sticky tape. And because this is cardboard, I'm not really afraid of the glue seeping through. From what I've been told with double-sided sticky tape, over time, like over a year, like it takes a while. Eventually the adhesive kind of shows through the paper. So if that's a concern, that you don't have to use it. But for me right now, just for ease, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Otherwise, I used both 3-in-1 glue from Bacon and clear gel tacky glue from Aleene's. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. But there we go. You can see that on the label. And it turned out fine, in all honesty. So what I did for this vellum paper, I used the 3-in-1 Beacon glue because the Aleene's is like the PVC glue doesn't stick very well to it. But paper, otherwise, it's just fine. And I did the tacky glue. And there was one issue that I noticed in using Aleene's tacky glue. Because it's kind of more of a watery base, it kind of leaves a little bit of ripples. You can kind of see it back here. So I just smooth them out with a bone folder on the other ones. And this one you can also see the ripples, but this is actually from the lace too. So I'm not sure if you can see that. So the lace is here, so you can kind of see the waviness. And I extend it past the midway point, so when you pull on it, it doesn't come out, kind of thing. But it did leave a little bit of ripples on the paper. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and cover that up so it's not a big deal. But if it bothers you, just keep in mind that using glue can leave a little bit of warping if you use the PVC or water-based glues. But I do or it's water-based glue. I think this is PVC. I think I've been saying this wrong. I'm sorry. This glue is fine. It doesn't leave warping issues, but this glue, or like Elmer's glue or any water-based glues, they tend to warp the paper, I've noticed. So a tip is to use a bone folder, so you just put a thin layer of glue on the outside and then you take the bone folder and rub it across, and it smooths out the paper and it leaves it not being so warped up. But it does actually, when it starts to dry, you kind of see warping of the cardboard itself. So if that's not an issue for you, then probably leave it. Use the tacky glue, it works really well, it gets all the edges, it's not a big deal. It's a little bit harder to get all the edges with the double-sided sticky tape, but not impossible. And it's also easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply the double-sided sticky tape to all the edges. And I intentionally go really close to the edge because I don't want the paper sticking out. So you can kind of see how it's raising up a little bit. I do that on purpose. And the great thing about double-sided sticky tape is even if you go a little bit over the edge, in the end, if there's any sticking out, you can just literally take your finger and rub across it and the adhesive will just come off. Like, it'll just rub off. So that's not a big deal to me. I'd rather it go all the way to the end than to have floppy edges. But if you do have floppy edges, take a little bit of glue. I personally like using a little bottle like this this has Elmer's glue in it, and just going to the edge and putting a little dot and then pushing down on it to get it all the way to the end. I've seen people use their sewing machines, but because this is cardboard, I don't suggest it because it's going to be such a pain to sew through. But if you want to attempt it, go for it. But personally, I wouldn't. And I don't like there being sticky stuff on my board as I'm working. So I'm just going to rub that off. See, it's really easy. Double-sided sticky tape, it's really easy getting it off. Alright, so I'm going to figure out how I want to lay this. I'm really digging that big butterfly, so I'm going to keep the big butterfly and just try to leave a little bit of the paper. There we go. And then smush it down in nice even coverage. There we go. And I like doing this process now of cutting it out because I can actually see the edges of the cardstock. See, you saw a little bit of the double-sided sticky tape. I just pull it off. Not a big deal. There we go. Yep. There you go with that card. And I grabbed a couple of images here because I really like this semi-transparent vellum paper. I don't know, I really enjoy it. As you can see, I went kind of crazy on this one. Yeah, I just like how it looks. I'm just going to play around with this a little bit. I'm not really liking this, the tulips, is too busy. So I might just use this one instead. I'll play with this a little bit more. Let's see. But right now I'm going to actually antique the edge a little bit. Yeah, vintage photo and walnut stain. So these are really popular in junk journaling that I noticed from across the board. But I'm going to go ahead and let you know if you don't know. This is Walnut Stain and Vintage Photo from Tim Holtz Distressed Ink. So if you're interested, buy those. I personally like these little sample, like, mini inkers because I think they're really cute. and also just to kind of save space. I actually have the re-inker bottles, and I'll just take the re-inker bottles and use that on the pads. If it gets empty, then to buy the big inkers. I have a little piece of glue on here, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. Here we go. Just had to get rid of that. Edge it. And it definitely makes that image pop out a little bit more. And what I like to do is I'll go over it again, but with a darker color, just on the edges. It kind of really reminds me of like burning the edges of things without actually burning anything, which is great. I've tried doing that before where I took like a piece of paper and put it over a flame and yeah. It worked, it's just harder to control. Then you end up with like really big areas that are more burnt than others, and it's just, I don't know. It's a hit or miss for me. So I rather just use the inkers and call it good. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this paper, kind of keeping the theme of the same color palette kind of thing. You can use whatever paper that you want. And if you're curious, this paper is tea dyed. Yeah, I think this is actually linen. I'm not positive though. When I tea dye and dye my paper, I dye a huge batch of different colors, different types of paper. It'll be linen paper, copy paper, doilies, coffee filters. I go to town because when I dye, it's a big deal. So there's a lot going on. So now, actually, this is 20-pound copy paper that I dyed. Now that I'm feeling it, it's 20-pound, which is your common copy paper, and this stuff works really good for taking on dyes. I've noticed linen paper, because it's mostly like paper and cotton mixed together, you end up with it not taking color very well. I got it to take color, it's just more of a pain. So if you want to dye something and you want to do like you've never dyed before, do it with copy paper and you get really good results. You can also just straight up use line paper, like college rule line paper or whatever, and that takes on it really well. Also have fun with different plants you might have in your kitchen. Like you can use onion for yellow, hibiscus flower for purplish or bluish color, depending on the pH level of your water. It'll change color. So, which is always fun. Like like just directly put in baking soda or citric acid if you wanted to change the color, depending on the pH of your water. But when you do that, there's the whole fear of like you don't want your paper to be too acidic, because it does, like, over a period of time doesn't archive well. But in junk journaling, we intentionally age things all the time. So I don't really see a problem with that. If things get faded or aged and everything, it's fine. If it's a concern for you for like journaling purposes, you can always take and put, they have this, what's it called? I'll see if I can find it. It's literally like a sticker, but on it it's like translucent, like semi-translucent. It's a little bit opaque, but you can put that on a paper and you can write on it because it's a little bit rough, and that holds up really well as an option on top of like any pages that you really go to town with and you didn't take mind with the acidity of the paper. Another option is you can just straight up take another piece of paper, slap it on top, and journal on that. Or do little pieces of ephemera and add it to the page. Like, junk journaling, we can go all sorts of creative on it, and it'll be fine. So, and don't worry too much about the acidity of my paper because of that. Nice clean edge. And now I'm gonna go ahead and distress it a bit. The funny thing is, this is not the first video that I shot. I did shoot another video with junk journaling ephemera with using the envelopes of... Or what? My brain just died. Of junk, like junk mail and stuff that the cards came from. Like the envelopes themselves. And I'll show you what the final product looks like. It ended up being the video was way too shaky because I had the tripod on my desk and my desk, I guess, is really shaky, or the tripod was really shaky or whatever. So right now, I have it on a floor tripod for this video. And the setup is just really kind of ridiculous because I just like jerry-rigged poles together and stuff like that in order for the camera to sit above my desk. So I'm kind of laughing a little bit because it looks really ridiculous. So I'm just letting you know because the camera angle is probably going to change like every single time in the video because just in the fact I have to piece together things until I can get one of those armature things for a tripod. But that's not until later. Alright, so we edged that. Now we're gonna go ahead and stamp it. Let's see. I'm kind of wondering how these stamps will turn out. I'm gonna go ahead and go with green. This is Pilled Paint, another distressed ink. And I have not used this stamp before. I went to Goodwill and just went to town on buying a whole bunch of stamps because I had like no stamps. And I was like, I need more stamps! And so I was like, okay, I'll just go to Goodwill and buy a whole bunch of stamps. And no joke, people get rid of really good stamps. Like, they look really nice. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't want them, I'll totally take them. So that's how it went with that. And you'll see it throughout the channel. I'll go ahead and let you know if I get them from Goodwill because I probably won't be able to find a link to finding these ones online because I didn't buy them online. But I can tell you what brand this one is. This one is Life Journey, yeah, and it just says Explore. It's actually kind of cute. I want a little bit more distress though. So, let's try antique linen. So you may be wondering why I have labels on here. And the reason why I labeled these is because I only have so many of these little post things. But I have a ton of these reinker pads. So, pads. And so what I did is I just labeled them so I know which pad goes to which thing, because before it was kind of chaotic me trying to figure out what color was on the reinker pads, or not the reinker, the pads themselves. Because sometimes the colors are really close and some people don't care, like they don't care about the mixing. But I kind of do, because when I want to ink something, I want it kind of to be the true color of what I'm expecting. So I rather just keep the pads and the ink pads really the same and not have it cross over in any way. So that's why I have these labeled. So if you guys are curious, there we go. I'm just going to add a little bit more vintage photo here. I'm not going to use this one. I don't think that's going to fit. But alrighty. Wrestling aside, I have this lovely stamp, acrylic stamp from, I will let you know because right now the stamp is covering it. It is Hip Stamp, hooray. But is, as you can see, I got it for like $6. But I'm trying to think. I think I got this from Joann's when they had a sale. I'm all for sales. I don't like buying things at full price. Like, so it's like I will buy things whole price if it's something that I really absolutely love and I can't live without kind of thing. But otherwise, I try to wait for sales and stuff like that before I get anything. And, you know, that's personally me. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys do? Do you guys wait until things go on sale to buy something? Or if you absolutely love it, do you just buy it immediately? Like, how do you roll? And I think I'm just going to do this way. Woo! That is fun. There we go. It's kind of chaotic, but I like it. And what I'm going to do is, because I'm all for distressing, just sprinkle on a little bit of water. Let's see if I can get... There we go. Just going to dab it off a little bit. Wonder if I can go over it with black. Oh, experiment here. Let's see. I'm gonna try to match it up, but I don't think it's gonna match up all the way. Oh, there we go. Explore. There we go. And this front is a little bit lonely, I feel. Like it needs more stuff on it. My dilemma is, what is that going to be? What will we have? So I'm just going through this little booklet that I have. Mo card. Light and Shadow photo album. And I also got this one from Etsy. Let's see. It's fine. Because I'm intentionally tearing it. I'm going to leave it not quite detailed as an image. I think I'm going to tear it like I did with this one. Let's see. Go. I'm kind of liking it having on one side. I'm gonna see what it looks like on the other way. Maybe just leave it like that. Ooh. Can I throw in a flower? Nope. I was trying to straighten that out. Didn't work. There we go. I'm just going to add some tape. So this vellum, this printed vellum, is you have a shiny side and kind of more of a matte side. And I've noticed if you plant plan to stamp on it in any way, you want the matte side facing up, and then you need to use a pigmented ink, and what I like using is VersaFine pigmented ink, and you stamp on it and you leave it alone, and you leave it alone for a while. And what you want it to do is to have it where it dries as much as possible. This thing does not want to roll. And it will mostly stick to it. Like, I'll go ahead and show you. Where's the other cards that I did? Well, no, that's just funny. I had them, and I put them down, and now I don't know where they went. Oh, it's right in front of me. All right, my bad. But here we go. You see how this is printed? I just used one of my word stamps and just printed on top of it, and left it alone for a while. And then what I did is I took a piece of paper towel and I wiped it. And what I did is I intentionally, you see how the writing comes in one direction? I wiped it in that direction. So if there's any smearing, it's smeared like with the writing. So you still have that clean space in between the words without any smudging in between. But really you can wipe it any way you want to. Just keep in mind, if you have writing like this and you smudge it down, like in the opposite direction of the writing, the words will be more blurred. And you'll have less of this empty space, so it kind of muddies the look a little bit more. Otherwise, yeah, totally have fun with it. You know, I'm just letting you know with the vellum because I was playing with it for a while. I was like crossing my fingers hoping that it would work because I was like really hoping that I can keep that stamp there. You know, we creative people, you know, we have ideas and hope. Like when we come up to creating things, we're like, oh, does it? Hopefully it works, because it'd really stink if it didn't. I get those a lot, and you'll see it on this channel, where I'll just create something and cross my fingers. Well, hopefully it works. Most of the time, though, I'll go ahead and try it before I post a video, but we'll see. Oh, that's pretty. I like the color. Now that I have that blue in there, I want to add more blue. Okay. We'll do the walnut stain one. So I just got these ink pads not too long ago, so I haven't relabeled my sticks yet, so. Imagine this says peacock feathers on it. Alright. It's not like you can't really tell though. That's blue. That is blue. I don't have another blue like that. Ooh, that's so pretty. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it happens to pull the colors in for the whole piece, so you don't have this one block of color. It's like color all around, so it kind of makes the whole piece cohesive. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for, cohesive. And a little bit more here. There we go. And I have words there, but I'm wondering if we should put words on the side. Let's see. So this is Tim Holt's Ideology Words. I am so glad I got this because I've actually been using them a lot. I have another one. Yeah, I have another one that has words on it too. I just love them because they're so easy. It's really nice when you have like a lot of like stamping and things like that added to the thing and you want to have words that pop. These work really well because they kind of have, because it's a thicker piece of cardstock, I guess, the words are printed on, they kind of are a little bit raised, so it has more of like a texture look. It also, like, you know, pops out more. I like that. An unfamiliar silent place. The adhesives on here are pretty good too, actually. So... The reason why I didn't put it up here, because I'm planning to put a whole, not quite a bookmark, but something that's easily pulled out of like a nook or pocket in a junk journal. And I feel like I need to add a little bit more. So... Ooh, I have an idea. I have an idea. I know what I want to do. Da, 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 da. Ooh. So, this is another thing I believe I got from Joann's again. Bow Bunny Fanciful Flourishes. And also this acrylic blocks. Stamper thingies. And there we go. I'll use that one. So, in all honesty, you don't have to have all this stuff that I have to make these. Just use whatever. And I'll show you, like, actually when I first started junk journaling, I used a lot of hand-carved stamps. And when I mean hand-carved stamps, I mean I took an eraser from wish.com, the website you can buy like really, really cheap things. And also I went to Dollar Tree and I graded the biggest stamps I can find. And I did that for a while. Actually, because I mentioned it. Here they are. I have I have them in a little like what's it called? Earbud case that my husband got. I was like, oh, I like little magnet things. So here we go. Eventually I'll decorate it. I'll record that too, because that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, now you see like all these little rubber stamps that I created. Like this one's like for just texture. This is like branches. I can use that. Like, have fun. This is really the cheapest way of doing it, and I did it with like an X-Acto knife, and I just like drew on it and just cut it out and everything. Like little swirlies. And they turned out alright. Really. It was a lot of fun. Right now I'm into lino cutting, so I'll probably make a video of that sometime. And you can see. But right now let's go ahead and finish this. So I think I'm going to go with a lighter color for this one. You can tell I used a lot of gold with this one because I love gold pigmented ink. It's just a lot. It's really pretty. Add a lot of pizzazz in something. There we go. Smush, smush, smush. A little branch. And then there we go. You'll see me do this a lot where I won't put the whole stamp on there. Because I'm like, I just want to edge detail or something. I don't want to take over the whole thing. because this stamp is actually going to be a little bit on this vellum, I'm going to go ahead and just lightly tap one corner of the pad with the Versa ink. And I know some people out there might complain about me mixing inks because one's a pigment and one's a dye based, but again, it don't matter. It doesn't matter to me because it's just gonna get wiped off anyways. It's not a big deal. I use these. If you use a stamp for both dye and pigmented inks, why not put them both on the same stamp at the same time? It's fine. My recommendation though is if you do it that way, to start off whatever is the lightest color first and then end up with the darkest color, or start off with the water-based ink first and then end up with the pigmented ink. And the reason why is when you add the pigmented ink to the water base, it can dry on there. So if you do it the vice versa, it's okay. Like, it doesn't really affect, I haven't noticed it really affecting this too much, like, at all. Because it's straight up black and pigmented ink, which has water in it already as a base, kind of. While the water-based inks, they don't dry out in smaller containers like this, but pigmented inks will. So if you add a pigmented ink accidentally onto this, it will dry out. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm going to leave that alone because you kind of see how like it's a little bit shiny. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but the black ink is a little bit shiny because it hasn't had a chance to absorb yet into the vellum. So just give it some time. So I'm not going to do anything else with this one, but I am pressing down on the words just to make sure that it stays. But yeah, so this is how you decorate a card, junk mail card for a junk journal. So yeah, here we go with this. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you. I could have sworn I had another one. Here we go. Kind of wondering if I should end up punching this one. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. So, the way I added a hole is I just used a regular hole punch, like the handheld ones. You can buy these pretty cheap. And what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm actually gonna try to get it as close to the tail end of this because I kind of like the idea of having it where it looks like it's flying off the tail end of it. There we go. And with ribbons and stuff like that, there is actually no rule on where you can put the hole. You can literally put it anywhere that you want. Do I want silver? No, no silver. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use crochet thread. This is size 10 crochet thread that I got forever ago at Walmart. So wherever size 10 thread is sold, that's where you can find it. So I just took a whole bunch. I didn't measure it. And I'm essentially going to make like a tassel-ish, tassel-like ribbon attachment. Oh my god. I don't know what to call it because it's not exactly a ribbon. So an extension. There we go. We'll go with that. A tassel-like extension. Because why not? There we go. Oops, I lost my loop. So so I'll just show you. So what I did is I just keep on folding it in half and meet up at the ends. Just like that. Okay? And get it to the thickness that you want for the tassel. I don't want it too terribly thick, so this works for me. Alright. Fold that in half. I'll do it this way. I'm just gonna stick it through. There we go. And one on top. So because I want it more... Oh, actually no, this is kind of fun. Alright, we're going to do this way. Because it looks cute. So in order for this to stay this way, I'm actually going to use double-sided sticky tape. You can use glue, you can use whatever, just something to hold the pieces in place. And this is double-sided sticky tape that's permanent, so once you put this down, that is it. There's no going back. Which works out fine for me. There we go. Wonder if I can spread this a little bit more. Okay. Just gonna rub off the extra glue that's sticking out on the edge so it's not shiny. There we go. Okay. So I made an oops. I kind of overextended the tape a little bit. So now it's kind of adhesived in the back here. So I'm just going to leave it. It's not a big deal. That's actually what I was intending to do. It's just more of like I kind of did it on accident. So I'm not going to show you how to do that because there we go. There's no mistakes, just only happy accidents, as Bob Ross used to say. I actually was talking to my husband, and from what he told me, is Bob Ross never wanted to sell any of his paintings to anybody. I thought that was actually really neat. I'm kind of the same way. When I make my art, I do it for art's sake. So I don't really think about selling it to people, which, you know, we gotta make a living kind of thing, so it's eventual. Oh, I'll also have a link to my Etsy shop that I'll be setting up pretty soon. Just to throw that out there, just to, make a living. Because we all gotta live, we all gotta eat. So, as much as I like the romanticism of being, the poor artist, that's not very fun. Let's not be poor artists, people. Let's make some money. We're doing the things that we love. There we go. I don't know if you saw what I did. What I did is I did a square knot, or you could just tie it in a knot, doesn't matter. And then I separated the strands into like 3 sections and kind of flat braided them together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dab of glue. And what I like using is the 3-in-1 or the Fabrifix, Fabri-Tac, whatever you want to say. I think it's Fabrifix, but whichever one dries the fastest. Ooh, my stomach is growling, so I do apologize if you hear growls in the background. That's just me being hungry. Come on. Come up. You don't need a lot. You don't want to do a lot because you can see it. But just a tiny dot of glue. And there we go. And what you want to do is you want to get in between the braids here. that dot of glue and just smush it into the fibers. And that'll help seal it. And I do notice that this section isn't really adhered well, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a tiny dab back here. There we go. Smush, smush, smush. Upside down. Okay. And then however long you want the tassel to be, that's where you cut it. I'm actually going to use my fabric shears. Always use a different pair of shears. Separate from your paper shears. And I say this out of experience. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. Like, if anybody else out there, let me know if you go crazy if somebody uses your fabric shears for paper. When I was going to school, and I went in for fashion design, actually, and I had these expensive fabric shears. And one day I went to go use them, and they didn't work. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, I'm cutting, it didn't cut. It was terrible, and I couldn't figure out why, because I always put them in this little caddy that I had, and it was always in the same spot, didn't move it, and it's exactly the same place, and I make sure I never used it on paper or anything, so why are these dull? And one day, I was in the kitchen, and I can hear snip, 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 and I was like, what's snipping? And I go look into the living room, and there is my little son, who... hadn't learned how to use scissors yet. He was like 3 at the time, 3 or 4, and he had grabbed my shears and was cutting paper with it. And I was like, didn't make any sound while I was watching him. And he put it back into my caddy in the exact same spot, exactly where I left it. Like, it was turned and exactly everything. Like, couldn't even tell that I left, like, he picked it up. And I was like, that's what happened. And I was like, you don't do that. And then I got him his own personal, like, safety scissors or whatever. But yeah, when you have a little kid, sometimes they'll, take things and be very sneaky about it, because yeah, no, lo and behold, I didn't know that he was cutting paper with them. But I'm not mad now. I'm just more like, I'm onto you. I'm onto you, buddy. I'm watching you. Here we go. So you can do tassels like this, which is essentially what I'm going to be doing with this one, is adding a little tassel at the end. But here we go with this, and just to show you what you can do with them, and to showcase what the next video is going to be like, here is a sneak peek. I say sneak peek, but really this is a finished product. I have to do a different video, but this is one of them. And this is literally the same company who sent me this card that we just worked on. And we turned it into a little portfolio little piece. And you can use this by itself, or you can use it inside of a junk journal, like in a pocket, and a person can have an extra writing space. But essentially you can take this and put in the card and add a little extra detail, or you can just leave it, not this one, that one says ink. Leave it as a little bookmark for a later date. And just wrap it closed. There we go. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video, and yeah, have fun.